Welcome to Well Played Podcast, the show on all things playful and joyous in education. I'm your host, Michael Matera, 6th grade teacher, author, and speaker. Really looking forward to today's chat, and we have a returning guest, John Meehan, with us, and we have something new, something awesome, and we can't wait for you to hear about it. John has been on the show, I don't know, 4 times, John? Is that right?
Michael, we've had a lot of conversations. I lose track of time. It's COVID time, right? So everything is both yes and all of them. So who knows?
Who knows? Well,
I think more than, I think it's been like maybe double that, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. But we definitely know this is not going to be John's last time on the show. I'm gonna let you say it, John. I'm gonna let you say it. What?
No, Michael, this is your. So if you follow me on Twitter, first and foremost, hi everybody. I'm John. This is the way we introduce ourselves, right? I'm an instructional coach and I'm a high school teacher in Arlington, Virginia. I'm on Twitter at meehanedu, and I always mention my Twitter handle because Twitter is the most powerful professional network you could ever hope to be a part of. It really does tap you into educators all over the planet. It's how Michael and I got connected the first time. I had a chance to read Explore Like a Pirate maybe in 2018. And I was like, oh, this guy is I always joke, halfway around the planet, really just halfway across the country. And we're doing similar work from opposite ends. So we were so geeked out about connecting through that. And then sharing, and I always say in my writing and research that steel sharpens steel. You get faster by working together. So I'll say that much, Michael, and I'll just sort of pass the baton over to you. You like that?
All right. So, John, the title of this episode is We Made a Thing. And that's it. John and I made a thing. But this, we're geeking out. This thing, we're gonna come out and say, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've said it to the world. We made a sort of shared ethos company that we want you to be a part of. And that is emc2learning.com, and check it out. You can check it out right now. Pause the podcast, but definitely come back. We got some good things to see.
Yeah, no, that was the podcast.
That's it. That's it. Thanks for coming. But we're so excited about this company that we want you to really be a part of, because what we're trying to do, we're trying to change the world, and John and I mean that from the bottom of our hearts. And we have run PD around the United States. We've done virtual PDs around the world, and we're really serious about changing the nature of that relationship, student to teacher. We're changing the relationship of how teachers see their classrooms and even their professions. The stories we get from teachers around the world is when they start to approach their teaching with this style of pedagogy, this playful yet powerful pedagogy, it literally lights them up. This is why we got into teaching, right? It's for those moments of shared connection, powerful moments like that. And this site is filled with the pedagogy of that, the useful resources of that. And we can geek out all over the place about it, but I'm just super proud, and I want this episode to be a little bit of the backstory, a little bit what's there, and that's the 20-second, elevator pitch of EMC2 Learning. It's going to be a community that is dedicated to changing the game of school.
Yeah, man. I think you're actually burying the lead. There's a lot more. I've been trying to get my 20-second pitch down, and I've been in the car because I record my podcast, and it took 20 minutes to just go through all the site features. And maybe that's what we'll do today. Because I think the buried the lead that said, we made a thing. Okay, I make things all the time. You make things all the time. You make podcasts every week. You're very gracious in giving in your time in the XP Lab community. You share so much free resource and free content on your YouTube channel, the Hive Summit, the work you did in the writing of your book. I like to think I'm no slouch with that stuff. I try to
definitely no slouch.
I try to follow that Gary Vaynerchuk model of, give away 200% of your content for free before you ever think to ask for somebody, to even think about investing in the work that you do. Because they'll see that you're a real one, and they'll see that you're actually there to do the work and make the gains. And if you've asked me and met with me over the course of the past, 5, 7 years, 10 years on Twitter, where it's been, you and I, Michael, are cut from the same cloth in that I want to see great things in the hands of even greater teachers, and I want them to stand on my shoulders and remix them any way they can. So I always post thumbs up and I say, I made a thing. And I don't always know how that thing is going to get use in the classroom. And that's cool. I just want people to take it and run with it. And the thing that you and I have made, like I said, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the history of this. This isn't like we worked on it this weekend. Oh, that's fun. Build a website. Because like you hear website, like GoDaddy.com, click, 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 click. And then 10 minutes later, you have a website. Like, we have been working on this and not talking about it for a long time.
This is the biggest secret I've ever held.
Like, go ahead. Just go.
So one, I want to point out, like, this website, we have sort of an early bird thing going on right now. And ultimately, like, we want everybody to feel like they have access to this. We truly do want to change the world. We're going to have 2 different tiers. We are going to have Tinker Teacher tier, which is our free tier, which gets them access to some limited resources, but we want to support everybody at different budget levels, whatever. And then really we only have this 2 model right now, and that is that, and then what we're calling an engagement engineer, and that's kind of the full access. And we're hoping people see that value and just want to really be part of this movement as we see it, as changing education. And like I said, those 2 levels aren't there yet. We really needed to put all of our energies right now into making sure the website all works and runs smoothly as we can for those engagement engineers. But we're hoping later, like probably around summer, to open up the Tinker Teacher. If you go there, though, you guys can sign up on that list if you want to be part of that. And we truly mean it. We want everybody part of this journey, everybody to have access. We hope, and this is where I want to talk to you a little bit about too, the different style of this. Like, we didn't just work on this in the weekend. I really wanted to point out why join as an engagement engineer. And one of the reasons we're asking for some money here and not just putting this in the 100% free content area is we are truly trying to do this different. So like, we're taking those dollars and we're actually buying things to make the community stronger and better and our classroom stronger and better. So one of my favorite examples is kind of the art of this, right? The sheer look of any of our materials and resources. This wasn't just a resource grab off the internet. These have all been paid for assets, some customized by us by hand, some built by hand by us. This is just seriously thousands of hours of work between John and I.
It's friggin' thousands. And like, I go, there's so much to say, and I'm trying not to cuss, but like, I've been sitting on this for 11 months, Michael. Like, I went through so much in my own personal life. I separated, I started over, I kind of found myself again in a pandemic, and I had to lose myself and find myself. And I wasn't reticent about sharing that information on my own podcast and on Twitter. Like, I struggle with mental health issues, and I talk about that stuff, my own therapy, my own faith journey. I'm very direct, I'm very open. Like I said, one of the things that you and I maybe first bonded over is like, wow, that guy, either he doesn't have a filter or he needs some real friends. Like, he is telling me exactly the truth in all of its ugly warts and all. But I have not said a word about this project that we've been working on since last March. At the start of the COVID shutdown, you and I were on a podcast. I think I recorded in that one an episode in like February, March of last year. And
you guys should look it up, because it was literally that podcast that then
it was
got us
the after air things. Like, so how's your life going? I'm like, oh, it's falling apart. You? And that was before the pandemic stuff. And he's like, oh, I'm doing some writing, some research, thinking about like a membership site. And I was like, that's funny. I got a lot of free time on my hands and I don't know what to do. And some people are making sourdough bread. And I said,
I was one of those people too.
That's fair. I was looking at eating a lot of the sourdough bread. But I said, I have a draft of a document I'm kind of working up. Can I send it to you with like a professional, they say never meet your heroes, right? Because they're always going to disappoint you. But like, I rolled the dice. I was like, well, let's see what Matera thinks. And not only were you in, you like sat on it for like a day, texted back like, so I'm kind of in for this. And I think we could do a lot more than just what you have here. And then for the past 11 months, we've been meeting weekly and making phone calls pretty much on the daily for the past 6 months now, where we built Netflix, but for teachers. And I think that's like, this at 6 minutes in, if you're still in, this isn't like Teachers Pay Teachers where you get a worksheet to teach the Civil War. Like, it's not a plug and play. Please teach The Great Gatsby for me. Click, plug, run the photocopy. Because you and I think, share this ethos that great teaching is relational and it is based in the human in front of you. So seeing that human-centered design and then designing pedagogies that are based in motivational psychology, that are based in positive psychology, based in flow state, based in gamification and game-inspired course design, all of the like the wisdom and intellect and like curiosity and wonder that you bring in your pedagogy and your instructional design, and all this passion, this energy, and this enthusiasm, adrenaline that I kind of bring in mine. Not that either one of us lacks either of those two things, but it is just like this beautiful synergy that says this is too big for any one book or any one presentation to do. This is hundreds, if not thousands hours, and truly it's thousands. And maybe we can do some, deep dive conversation about it on the podcast today. But like, we have worked for, on the low end, 4 to 10 hours for every resource that we have posted to the site. We're talking like step-by-step tutorials, templates that are plug and play, like pop and swap. You put in your stuff and you work out your stuff, my stuff. So it's no longer like the template with the fake text in it, but now it can be used for any course, any content area. Scalable for littles, middles, high schools, adult learners, like fully differentiated, fully accessible that you can put your mix and twist on it. Michael's been so kind as to be recording like step-by-step explainer videos that walk you through step-by-step how to watch the whole thing, how to see out and play out in the classroom. I've done a whole bunch of write-ups with like, here are different ways it could play out in a classroom with samples of how it could work for A's, B's, and C's. We have like 3 or 4 variations of 10 different materials. So you can go in and say, I don't like that one. I want to remix it this way. It's a binge-worthy service, 365, 24/7, as if it's like the ancillary chapters of the deleted scenes and every crazy idea we've ever cooked up in the past and will continue to cook up in the future, all in this neighborhood of one membership gets you in for full access for the year.
Yeah, like John pointed out, I mean, it has been a crazy year of work. I mean, literally putting in 40-some, 50-some hours, sometimes super more than that, per week on this stuff on top of full-time teaching, which I think is another thing that John and I like about the site. You're getting this PD from us, both in terms of some webinars. We're going to do some private live streams where we can kind of like dissect some things together with, you, the members. And then also, like John just pointed out, tons and tons of resources that can jumpstart your classroom. But what I love about the style of this whole website, including these resources, is this idea of we are teaching you along the way. This is not, like, I'm going to be quite frank, this is not just download it and like your year's over. What we got is sound pedagogical engagement strategies and tools and techniques that you can apply a little bit. We call it our 5 to 40 formula. And that you're going to take some stuff and you're going to have to invest at least 5 minutes and sometimes up to 40 minutes. But what you're going to have is breathtakingly awesome. It's going to incite wonder and curiosity in your students. It is going to change the very feel of your classroom. And all along, as John pointed out, all these various layers of PD that goes along with it, whether it's the single post or taking one of our courses, right? Like, we are there to sort of move you along. And if you grow with us year over year, I promise you, your kids are going to experience something different. You're going to experience something different. And I just love this idea that we're not just, I don't know, checking boxes here and say like, yep, I did the Civil War thing. I did the like World War II thing. I did the like cowboy thing, like whatever. No, this is like, we're changing how you approach your classroom, and we're there at every step of the way. So again, if that sounds scary to you, don't be scared. Be excited that this is like an opportunity for growth like no other.
I mean, like, I want to echo and say the yes and, right? That's a rule of great radio and great television. It's just like always agree with the person and then like build on it. But like, I can't help but build on the work we've done, because for a year it's been, hey Michael, so I got this crazy idea as a text message or as an email. Let me say anything I'm working on. It's a quick phone call. Yo, what are you up to? I'm on a walk. What's going on? So I've looked at that thing that you have. I think we can do that, but better. And back and forth. And I instigated that phone call, but you instigated the next one. Like, immediately, it's that steel sharpens steel. We've been coming up with, like, I think at launch on March 1, and this is your podcast will drop on March 2. So I get to scoop you by a day. Take that, sucker. But like, I mean, we have over 200 resources right there on the site, and the remix and remingles. It's not just like the old familiars, like the old classics. I'll give an example. Like, my 2019 was good because I posted up a video of that egg dash challenge, and it went viral, and it went like in a month we had like 75,000 views, and we had 40 states and I think 6 provinces through Canada and 12 countries all doing egg dash challenges and sharing that. That's amazing. So we took the best of what we found in those Egg Dash challenges and curated a series of resources inspired by the greatest hits of the Egg Dash challenge, and it is now re-scrambled in a million different directions that you could go and remix it for, again, any course, any content area. And that's not to say that all we have on the site is old favorites with like a new coat of paint. Something like the QR break-ins, which I pushed out and I shared on my Twitter. Matt Miller was nice enough to put it on his blog. I shared like 1 or 2 templates about this game-changing approach to old school centers. And Michael, we worked this summer. I mean, I remember I spent like 2 weeks on phone calls back and forth, farming out different elements of what could be in the QR break-in. And before you knew it, you had one that you kicked off your classroom year with. I launched the Classes Lava game, which would not have been possible without the work that we were doing behind the scenes together. And quietly, privately, we have 3 dozen twists on the QR break-in with all different colors and schemes and varieties ready to go. On top of that, it's like, hey, this is an idea, but it won't work for QR break-in. It won't work for Egg Dash Challenge. Well, maybe we'll make a new thing. And I'm like busting at the seams because I recorded a podcast every single day during the first 4 months of quarantine. I posted up every instructional day, and I was not talking about this stuff. So when I would get off that podcast, I would go teach my classes. When I was done with my classes, I would work on EMC2 stuff for like 8 or 10 hours. And I mean, like, you can, and I should let you brag, like, we have come up with brand new products. So this is our chance to put some shine on them, like, and brand new pedagogies that are game inspired. And they're not just like, rinky dink, make a worksheet, here's some cool clip art, but like an authentic way to look at what student engagement and passion can be to give real purposeful, rigorous learning in a way that kids would be like chomping at the bit to say, Meehan, you got to see what I did. Matera. And we've been, again, like trialing and erroring, beta testing together, vibe checking each other, pushing each other to be stronger. So I'm going to shut up and let you talk about some of the cool stuff we're making.
So probably on an unhealthy note, everybody, like John said about not meeting your heroes, I have always been really impressed with John's work, and I've just loved seeing him grow separate of the now us. But unhealthy when you get in this professional situation where, yeah, like every week we have this meeting, and every week, like, I want to show John some super cool stuff. So then, like, I get to work and I do some super cool stuff. And then on Wednesday, we're a little bit like, hey, check this out. And then he's like, well, hey, check this out. And then we process both those things, tweak them up, steel sharpen steel, as John says. And like, it's so true. You know, like my ideas became better, stronger, smoother, more variation. Some of them we really try to like dial up and down. So like one of the resources that comes to mind that I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on is this Uncharted Territories. And it is this awesome product that I love where the kids end up building this map with these like awesome tile sets, and it just looks beautiful.
That we paid for. Like, again, like original artwork that we commissioned or paid for asset sets. Like, we paid content creators so that they could make things that look great for classrooms. So if you get to use it in 5 to 40 minutes of design time, we put 5 to 40 hours worth of design time and money's time into it so that you have a thing that looks beautiful off the rack, and a kid in a classroom can't help but say, Mr. Whatever or Miss So-and-so, this is a cool looking thing. Did you make this for me? And it's like, yeah, so I can't wait to see what you can make for me. Like, hell yeah. Sorry, Michael, I cut you off. Go.
No, it's like, so this is it. I mean, like, you can hear how excited we are. Like, get in there, start checking these things out. This one, I called it Epic Tales is what you're doing. And using your content, the kids are going to write a little mini tale. And it doesn't matter if you're doing science, if you're doing history, if you're doing English. It's sort of, you create this little map with these tile sets. Super easy, kids copying and pasting, but they could really make the map sort of come to life. Then there's what I call the quest builder, where they put things on that map that can be symbolized in the story that's off to the side. My kids make 3 panels of this, so there's 3 different maps they kind of make, and the story goes along with it. For me, it's world history, and it's really not like the map world history. Don't think that this works well with me. The map was sort of junk. They're not geographically making perfect maps for me. They're just setting the scene. Hey, this takes place in Mesopotamia, so they put a bunch of deserty sort of tiles and then made sure there was like a river. One made sure there was sort of 2 rivers because the story was about bouncing between Tigris and Euphrates and like these city states, right? Doesn't matter though, right? Like, it could be any content you want. You could literally write math story problems with it and make the kids say like they had to go from here to here and then this happened, right?
The
and
first
all of a sudden
to the second. And Michael, I mean, everything we wrote in here is content agnostic. So it was written so that it could be used as a lesson frame or a lesson stem for any course in any content area. If your kids have the ability for independent reading and have access to Google Slides or Google Sheets, that's all you need. Everything that's in here is fully adaptable. So you can have students writing the story of the Spanish Civil War or writing the story of the running of the bulls in a Spanish class, writing in the target language using the map builder exercise, right? And I'm not a history teacher, so I don't have that like understanding of the Euphrates, and even trying to dispel that would be hard for me. But I could do, hey, we just read this short story in my English class. Can you draw what the setting would look like and drop the key elements that you thought was most important in the chapter on top of it to recap the story of what we read last night, or to tell me items of significance you think we need to watch out for in chapters to come? Like, that is brilliant, very creative, high-level Bloom's taxonomy stuff that looks really pretty versus list 5 things that were important in this chapter. Kids don't want to do that second thing. That first thing feels like they're playing Minecraft, and they can't wait to just dive right in.
My kids loved it, but the other reason I bring up this is John and I, again, playing off of each other. We kind of like, we made one that was hex-based and makes these tiles like way more like malleable in terms of how you lay it out. But we were like, well, I think even a 3rd grader could do that, but we want to make sure. So we actually went and got another art sort of asset pack that was all sort of square based. So it was a lot easier for kids to sort of line this up. So again, really thinking through kind of every angle, different grade levels, different subjects, like you said, content agnostic. We really want this stuff to be only limited by your creativity, but then coupled with our PD along the way. So we're trying to nudge you to even sort of flex that creative muscle of how you can use it, when you can use it. John has showed me some of the stuff that he's worked on, and he's worked on it for like a great middle of the unit, let's say. You know, here's a great thing. I have them like write about last night's reading, doing this, and they're working in groups, and they're awesome as is. And then I'm like, well, John, I actually use that as a snap-in to my end of the unit assessment. So like they took kind of a standard quiz and then had to do that, and I sort of added the two. Like instead of an essay, they did your thing. And you know, John's like, well, I didn't even think about that as like an assessment. Yep. And that is what we're talking about, in that we can use these things multiple different ways, and the community helps us, you know, all sort of sharpen the steel.
I think if I'm talking about it, you know, even in the conversation in this podcast, like we knew we had to record this, but I don't want to record this because we still have so much more we want to keep doing on the site. And like, I want to share with the world, but I was like, just stop listening to me, get in, do it. But like what's in there is all in this perpetual beta, and like this Disney idea of like, the park is never a thing that will finish. We'll always add more to it. So if you sign up today, you lock in your member rate and you get that rate for yourself for life as long as you are a member of the site. Always new stuff to come back and bring you curious and excitement, in addition to the live streams and the webinars and the online courses and any new publications, like all that stuff you have access to, and like the mailing list, fine, access to Michael and me. It's a permanence that you go back to that place, and it's not a Twitter stream that was there and then gone. Or 3 weeks later, what did he say on that podcast? It's binge you can go back in to your heart's content and say, I want to take that and remix it and remaster it. Like we did that. I'm like, Michael, and I know we're just gushing here, but like the comic book creator that we worked on, like over a 3-hour call on a Friday, we thought about it. Over the weekend, you worked on it. You called me on a Saturday, and we had a 7.5-hour phone call. So that's like 15 man hours on that day, just on that one resource. Then over the course of the next 2 weeks, we edited it and tweaked it, used it in our classes, and says, we have to change a whole bunch of stuff about how this works because it's not working the way we need it to work. And then taking the best of what we designed, again, in our own time, not in our school's time. This is the time we're spending instead of being with our friends and families, like, so we could build things that other schools can use, and then watch our kids just geek out like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like making an illustrated comic book inspired by your course or content area. But Michael and I have kind of hacked how Google Slides work. So you have auto resizing templates that you can make comic squares of any size with stickers and shapes and all those little dots and those comic-y fonts.
And you can make it, again, we overbuild it all. You can make it so that it's a great printable in the sizes and shapes you want, or you can keep it digital and kids can drop in the images. The frames look great. Like we then added like sticker packs. So there's like all these kapows and, you know, everything. I mean, it's all there. But again, context agnostic. My kids used it to like fill in about the Greeks and the Greek achievements, and kids had all the things from Alexander the Great coming and taking over, to his adventures in India, to the philosophical journal that they called their comic. It could run the gamut. Kids were diving into this content all with smiles. I got to tell you, every time that we do these resources in my class, the kids like literally are like, that was super fun. And I'm like, you just took a test.
A really hard like my passion project called my comic, because I use the same thing. Michael teaches 6th grade, I teach 11th grade. Different audiences, different approaches. You guys had 1-page comics, 2-page comics. I had my guys design the cover of the comic and then 5 original pages about a topic in the world that they felt needed to be explained to younger audiences. Now they saw themselves as content creators, and again, using the templates, right, using the interactive pedagogy, they're researching things like climate change, Black Lives Matter. They're talking about homeless veterans and like treating people with respect and dignity who come from different cultures, like the refugee crisis and like the water crisis. And I'm like, this is amazing high-level pedagogy that's getting them excited to, oh, by the way, do an annotated bibliography and research deep dive, all because they see themselves as someone who is a world changer, putting a thing out there for the world to see. It's that stuff. It's like we have the video game template creators where they have the chance to like design their own Xbox style game or their old school NES games. Like, what would it look like if biology or microbiology was presented as a PlayStation game? And they have to kind of see themselves as creators for that. We have action figure templates where they can be editable versions of like a G.I. Joe or a Transformer, and it looks like all the box art is all tricked out and all the stats are on the back. And they see themselves as, if I had to build a thing in my history class that transformed from the machine mode but also into human mode, what would that be as a transformer? Really playful, high-level stuff, inspired games and things that they've loved from childhood, things that we've geeked out on together and said, there's a million things we can lean into that the kids are loving. Among Us, like Fortnite, Minecraft, borrowing the elements of what makes those things exciting without ever adapting the physical look of that thing, like the intellectual property. So what we've created is, in the spirit of a game-like environment, kids are so excited to show us what they can do. And all these things are socially, emotionally sound, psychologically responsible, and aware of things like ableism and racism, sexism, so that we're not just doing like game-based simulations where they simulate real-life atrocities or anything like that to ever make light of things that would be a super serious matter. That's not the goal of the site. And like I said, we committed together to hold each other to a really high standard and to just teach our students and our teachers a better way to play.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say the community that we hope to have you be a part of is one that we really just want these engineers. That's what we're calling them. To be there to walk with us. We're going to walk with you, and it's all set on bringing the best we can to our students. And John and I are committed to continuing to develop resources. Like John said, when you get in there, that's the starting point of our journey together. We are going to add more resources. We're going to have more interactive content for our users, like we said, about live streams and webinars. This is the beginning of hopefully a professional relationship that we can all have together. And we invite all of you to be those engagement engineers and support this movement, right? Support changing the world together. And again, we want top quality resources. Textbook companies aren't making this kind of stuff. They're really just sort of churning out like, read this and here's like 5 blank lines to fill in the thing. We're trying to aim at capturing students' imaginations, students' attentions, and kind of students' excitement. Like every resource that I've used in my class that we have developed together, it's like my kids do not get that they just did harder. It's in a different part of your brain, and they just love it. I mean, we talked about the comic book and how your kids did 5 sheets. I got to tell everybody, probably over half my grade, the requirement was a cover page and 1 inside page. And I would say half my grade probably had 4 pages. And it's like, they didn't even see it at work. You could have like heard a pin drop in my classroom, which never happens in my classroom. Not because of poor management, but just because like I like a lively classroom. But I gave them these activities and they are just when they were doing the Uncharted territories, I mean, they were like glued to it. And then when we switched to the comic book creator, glued to it. I've made every one of my assessments usually have this out of the box alternative assessment snapped in, and kids are like, I love your tests. Your tests are so fun. Like, can we do this again outside the test? Can we just do that as like a review day? And it's like, you're literally asking for more challenging work, but like what it is it's work that honors the journey for them. There is the exploratory element there.
It's exploration. It's Montessori on steroids. It's level difficulty where they feel rewarded for hard risks. Like when you and I worked up, Michael, you cooked up this great pedagogy called the SOS, right? Inspired by the Among Us game, where a whole group is working to complete a set series of tasks, like an escape room. But among those people, there are imposters. So there are people who are deliberately doing like almost good work, trying not to get caught.
I gotta say, people, like, if you get in there, if you're one of our early ones that get in there, try to run that SOS. John and I will probably do a live stream on that for you guys, how to run it.
Like 12 different versions at 2 different levels, like 24 different SOS environment products. So it's not just like you have to play Among Us. It's like, don't worry about Among Us. Play Gladiators, play Monsters, play Survivor theme, and all of it uses that same pedagogy of there's a traitor in the midst, and the goal of that traitor is not to get caught. So they're doing work while students are peer reviewing everyone's stuff and doing the work in real time at really high levels. Like,
the amount of work that the students have to do with the amount of input you have to do is an unbelievable ratio. Like, yes. You are going to literally
my principal lost his mind when he did it.
You're going to like copy this slideshow, and then the kids are literally going to give you 60 minutes, well, however many time you want to give them, if you have 40-minute classes, whatever. But they will give you that full amount in pure high-level group work. It's super awesome, super fun. And again, it is literally on that one, you copying it and just you understand the pedagogy. So that's a little more towards the find end of the things where you just have to kind of understand what's there.
Which you made explainer videos for each module of the, like we have no life and no friends for the past year. We've just done this. And like, whether it's this one or the resource rumble or like, and I just keep mentioning things off the top of my head, but like the gamification packs, we haven't talked about the gamification packs.
No, there's like so much for you. Like literally we made things, lots of things, packs of things.
Hundreds of things.
Yeah.
And we haven't told anybody for a year.
No. So like, this is so awesome. I will admit, for everyone out there, you're going to see a lot more of us sort of posting these things out. There's going to be quick little commercials of these little products out on Twitter for us. We hope, again, that you guys join this community with us, join this movement to sort of change the game of school together. Playful yet powerful pedagogy. We're connecting with a couple districts. We're working on some district level sort of things there too. As always, John and I are going to continue to do the PD, at locations and virtually. We're just so excited to begin this journey with you guys. But John, I mean, we are past reflection time, but we're still gonna do it. I'm still gonna shoehorn it in here.
Let's go.
All right. So this quote comes from Walt Disney, somebody that I think you fancy.
Not no.
Not no. I can't say that.
Not no.
There you go.
There it is. You can't see it on the podcast, but I'm showing my Life magazine of Walt Disney right here by my side. Go ahead.
All right. So here's the quote: "We keep moving forward, opening new doors, and doing new things." Because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. How does that work with EMC2?
I really do see it like we've built a Netflix model for education, binge-worthy 24/7, but it really is a Disneyland of student engagement that will never be finished. We will keep adding to things. Even if we only add one resource a week, which would be very low, every year you got 50 new rides that would take your kids' imagination and wonder and curiosity right back in the classroom. You have the quality control and the energy and excitement and the passion that we bring to this. I cannot go to Disney and not be excited to see what happens next. If I can get my kids to do that in our classrooms, that will change not only the game of education, that really will change their world.
I love that response. For me, I like his point about curiosity keep leading us down new paths. Our hope truly is that we're meeting you where you're at. And there is some resources here to get you started down some new paths. And when you go down that path, there's going to be a fork in the road, and you're going to try another path and another path. You're going to double back and do the path you did before. And like, there is so much growth here. And John and I often talk about doing professional development different. And this is a huge component of that, because we can be in relation with each other, like all of us in this community. And we can't wait to have you in there. We hope you guys take advantage of the early bird special. And we want you to get on in there and sort of see what resources you have. We'd love to hear from you. You guys can definitely tweet at John and I. We would love that. If you want to use the hashtag EMC2Learning, we'd love to see the resources start getting poured into there. Again, tag us in it. Take photos of your kids. Invite colleagues. Like, we really want this movement to be powerful for all of us, and it's one of those, the more we can get in, really truly the better. And John and I have talked so much about those resources getting, again, poured right back in to the company, to all of us, and like more assets, more things we can do, better tools that we can design with. Like, it is right back at you guys. It is a labor of love that we have, and we couldn't be more excited to share it with you.
Boom, let's go.
I know, right? It's crazy. So we thank you so much for being on this podcast, John. And like, I think you're going to hear a lot more of John and I at the same time moving forward. We haven't really talked yet about changes to like Well Played or Talk With Me. But we're definitely talking about ways to sort of work these things in. We'll figure it all out, but we couldn't wait to tell you. And we'll hope to see you on the inside of EMC2.
Let's go. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Take care and play on.